You're listening to a show on the Planet Film podcast feed.
Hey everybody, I am Sean Monk,
And I'm TJ Cornwell.
and this is the Planet Film podcast. All right, so welcome back to the Planet Film podcast. It's been about a week, a little bit less than a week actually, because we were a little bit late with last week's show.
It always feels longer to me. I don't know why.
I know it always feels longer, but then I remember, for those who don't know, I'm still waiting on my test results back. I was just thinking, I was like, since I got my test, we've done 3 podcasts. That's how long it's been,
taking, yeah.
Or how short it's been. I don't know. Everything just blends together. So for me, this past week, I've just still been stuck in the house. I haven't left at all. That's pretty much all that's new with me. So what's been going on with you?
I mean, as you know, people probably don't know, I'm moving out at the end of July. So first day of August, I'll be out of here. As you can see behind me, the wall is pretty bare. Usually there's a Once Upon a Time in Hollywood poster right there. And then there's a Lighthouse poster usually right there. I'd take those down. I still have my Parasite and Little Women poster up, but I haven't taken those down yet. But yeah, it's just been basically packing and working. That's about it for me. I haven't done anything exciting, unfortunately. I do have to get in touch with a ISP to set up my internet at the apartment, which I'm not looking forward to doing. I've tried everything. I've looked. I'm okay. Well, I currently have Verizon now. I've looked at their website 10 times just to make sure
to see if
that it's not available.
They're coming to your town on August 1st.
Exactly.
Wouldn't that be the dream? Oh my God.
It's just I'm like, oh, is there anybody else that I can that I would be able to go with? And of course, I don't think there is. I think those are the only 2. I think it's the one you have and then Verizon. That's it. I don't know of another one around here.
I mean, at this point, I'd even take AT&T. I mean, because they do fiber optics now. You know what I mean? Because before, AT&T used to just be a phone company, but then they bought DirecTV, so they became internet and TV and everything. They became an ISP.
I've never met anybody that has them. I don't think,
because I don't think they have fiber optics in Western New York yet. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Hopefully one day, because it looks as I'm sorry I keep rotating in my chair, but it's very easy to do. No, I know. But what's it called? Because seemingly FiOS has stopped expanding in our area, which sucks. But when or if AT&T starts or keeps expanding their fiber optic network, it'd be great if they could come up here and maybe fill some of the gaps where FiOS isn't, where people are clamoring for fiber optics and stuff like that. But yeah, I mean, that's definitely gonna suck.
going back and forth. FiOS. I'm still in my head, I'm you know what? I'm not gonna get cable. And I was maybe I'll get YouTube TV. But then I just saw that they're raised their price or something like that.
They did, but because that's the package I have right now. I have cable, or I have internet through Spectrum, and then I have YouTube TV. They did raise the price from $49.99 to $64.99, but you really get everything that you would need with it. There's, and also that $15 increase was not just random. They added 20 more channels. They added They added VH1, MTV, country music channel or whatever that is. Nickelodeon, they didn't have that before. They added a bunch of useful Paramount Network and a few others too, I think.
I really just need it for sports. If there is sports.
There's not
all I need it for.
The other day, that is something that I did actually in my isolation here. Was I watched? It could have been a month ago, could have been 4 days ago. I think it was closer to 4 days ago, but I can't quite remember. ESPN was having the Cornhole World Championship.
Oh yeah.
And I watched that the whole way through, just
I
randomly
watched
one
that
day.
once. It was pretty exhilarating to me. I don't know why.
No, it really was. But also, like underdog story, the guy that won the championship was ranked number 7 in the world, and he wasn't even on the schedule for the tournament. He was a last minute fill-in for somebody, and he went on and won the whole thing. It was crazy.
Wow.
It was a nail biter too. I watched that whole last match. It was number 1 ranked in the world versus number 7, and number 7 won the title. It's crazy.
I know when I watched it, it was like doubles. So like sometimes like a guy would have like an amazing shot, and then his teammate would like follow up with something not as good, and they'd be like, "Come on," it was really funny.
Learned a lot of terms and vocabulary from that. Air mallet, which means there's stuff on the board, but you just go right into the hole. That's an air mallet.
Is it illegal to overhand it? Like if you just want to like whip it.
Yeah, you have to underhand it.
Underhand it.
I don't know if it's like illegal in the sport. Like I don't know if it's like against the rule. Well, I guess it would be against the rules, but I don't know.
Yeah.
Like I don't know how harsh the criticism in the cornhole.
Like somebody just like throws a heater like
just chucked it
90 miles an hour and like hit somebody. You'd think like
that would probably not be good.
You get like suspended probably for that. I wonder if there's like is there like a whole commission? It's like the cornhole.
There must be,
America.
There must be, It's crazy. So that will do it for the Cornhole podcast this week. But let's go ahead and get on with the actual show here. So once again, I just want to let you know, we do have this podcast as well as the other podcast we do, which is the Planet Council show. And I just want to say, we've had some good viewership on that show too, but if you are not a big Star Wars head, or if you don't like Star Wars or something like that, give it a listen because, it's one of those things where we try to pick out, the best parts of Star Wars and try to give, insight into why you might want to watch it. I know this upcoming week, we are going to be talking in depth about one of our news topics that we have on this show today. And then we're also going to be doing something cool that we're trying to bring you guys more of on that show, which is some top 5 lists. So we haven't really concretely decided what top 5 we're going to do for this week, but it's probably going to be something to do with top 5 supporting characters. Of either one film or another. I haven't decided completely. But either way, it should be really cool. So definitely tune in. We're going to be talking a lot about our Star Wars news topic that we have on this show today. Way more in depth on that show, doing some speculations, talk about what we kind of want to expect from that, as well as that top 5, which is going to be really, really cool. But without further ado, let's go ahead and get on with this show, the Planet Film podcast, starting out, of course, every week with our new news segment here. So unfortunately, as is seemingly with every single week that we've been doing this podcast so far, we have some deaths, some pretty tragic ones this week, actually. Whereas, in the last couple weeks, we've had a couple big titans of the Hollywood industry or just the entertainment industry as a whole passing away, but it's one of those things where they live kind of nice, full lives. This week, we kind of do have 2 people that passed away that were pretty young, respectively. Yeah. So the first one, which has been the tragic news that's been in the news all week, is that Naya Rivera from Glee. Yeah, her and her son, I believe it was 5 days ago. It might have been 4 days ago, but I think it was 5 days ago. They had rented a boat on Lake Piro in California. And basically the way it works is like there's a 3-hour boat rental. And after the 3 hours, they did not come back on the boat. Later, authorities found her son, but they did not find her. After a long, long week of searching the entire river, or the entire lake, I'm sorry. They did find her body today. They were able to confirm just a little bit ago that it was her, and she was pronounced deceased, unfortunately. So that's the first news up this week. is that Naya Rivera has passed away at the age of 33. Once again, back in the day, I watched Glee, like my mom would watch it every single week, so I watched it with her. I wasn't like super into the show, but like she was a consistent character for, I think she was on for the entire run. I know, like,
she was definitely on it for, I think, like the entire thing. I want to say.
Okay, yeah, because I know, like, did you watch Glee and stuff?
I watched it, like, I want to say, like, I've watched. It was one of those things where, like, I walk in, like, my sister was watching it, or like my mom was watching it, or something like that, and I'd be like, oh, okay, I'll watch this, and that. I think I probably watched like maybe a full season or two, but I never like, finished it or anything.
Yeah, like that is pretty much the same for me. Like, I know it was never one of those where I like binged watched it or anything, but I would like kind of watch at it. You know what I mean? If that makes sense. But because I know, like, after, and then of course, another aspect to this too, which is like sad to say, is this is the third main cast member from that show that's passed away.
Yeah, I saw that
the show ended.
Yeah.
And also today is the 7th year anniversary of Corey Monteith's death. The first actor from the show that passed away. That was very sad. That was, I believe, it was a drug overdose with him. And then I don't have the actor's name, but the guy who played Puck in that show, he had a seemingly real tough time going in life, and had a real bad end there just a couple of years ago. And then this one, I mean, it's just through and through just so tragic. I mean, to have your 4-year-old son come back, like, be found on a boat by himself, like, and it's one of those things where, unfortunately, unless there's like something found where like she left a note or something, like it's one of those things where we're never going to know if it was just a freak accident, or if it was something that like she was struggling with, and it's just a really, really tough thing. Well, you don't even want to think about that.
She like posted a picture of the two of them like that same day when they're on.
Yeah, that same day. Yeah. And it's like, and that's one of the things you can think about too, where it's like, it could have just been, that her and her son went out for a nice day, and so she posted a picture of him, or it could have like deeper meaning to it.
And then, like, cause they interviewed her son, and like, oh yeah, I got back on the boat, but my mom just didn't. I was like, damn. It was really sad.
It'd be like that. It'd be like that sometimes. You know what I mean? But yeah, I mean, I just can't imagine like being 4 years old. That is just rough.
I didn't know. I'm literally on her IMDb. I didn't know she was married. Yeah,
neither did I. Was she? Is she like married now? Like, does she have a husband?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, cool.
She was married, but I think it's like saying like because she's deceased now. She was.
Oh, okay, yeah. I didn't know that. That's good at least though, because like obviously you want to make sure. I mean, I don't know that situation. I didn't even know that she was married until right now. But I hope her son finds his way into a good situation, hopefully, with the amount of, success in just being as young as she was, the amount of success that she had with being on that show, like you would hope that, there's a good life left for her son to do, probably put some of that money in savings account, and hopefully he'll be in good hands. But that is tough. I can't imagine being in this position there. And then another one too that just broke late last night actually, was Kelly Preston, who is a very famous actress in the 80s, as well as being in other stuff. Like she was in Sky High, Jerry Maguire, For the Love of the Game,
Cat in the Hat, yeah, like tons of other stuff, tons and tons of work that she's done. She died super, super young at 57 from breast cancer, unfortunately. Yeah,
and it's one of those things where her and she is also longtime wife of John Travolta, obviously another famous actor, and it's one of those things where it was kind of very quiet that she had the cancer. It wasn't really talked about that much. Her last main role was in the film Gotti, which obviously John Travolta starred in. Say what you will about the movie, but that was her last big role, and that was 2 years ago. And the reports are saying, she died after a 2-year battle with breast cancer. So you'd have to imagine that was probably the last time she was in, like working condition as an actress.
Yeah, this poor family is, as much as like I know, I feel like sometimes like I like John Travolta, but sometimes people like criticize him for the movie choices he makes, like whether it's like Gotti or The Fanatic or something like that. Yeah. Life has not been easy for that family. I mean, like I don't know how many years ago it was when their son overdosed. I think he overdosed. I know that was really tough time. And then, she's been fighting breast cancer for like 2 years. And, and I'm pretty sure they just had a kid too. Like, I think like they have a child that's like 4 years old. Yep. That's it.
That's the one.
But,
poor guy.
Tough news.
And I'll tell you, like TJ was saying, as much as, John Travolta has been memed, I guess would be like a good way to put it, and they're like kind of made fun of for his work lately and stuff. The guy has lived a tragic life up to this point, and now he's only maybe 60, early 60s, you know what I mean? And like he's got that old? I don't know. Let me look up.
I thought he's like late. I thought he'd be like late 50s or something. I'm probably wrong though. He's probably older than that.
Oh yeah. Oh wow. Yeah. 66. So.
Oh okay. Oh wow.
Yeah, older than I thought. Yeah.
Yeah.
But like we said, I mean, he's still working actor. He's prolific and everything. Like he's starting just this, like when we met him here, this was his first year doing like Comic-Cons and really doing like fan meet and greet stuff. Yeah, that was the first time he ever did it. What's it called? For those who don't know, we met him at the Toronto Fan Expo. The first con he ever did was 2 weeks before our Fan Expo. He did the Boston Fan Expo, and that was the first one he'd ever done. But yeah, I mean, it was a great experience meeting him. We got, as much as we poke fun at that movie, The Fanatic, like it was a really cool experience that he didn't have to do. He didn't have to offer the Fan Expo an exclusive screening of the film. And it was cool, just to see an exclusive screening of a movie. We got a little video message from Travolta, as he's on the plane on his way to Toronto, which was funny. There's some technical difficulties with the screening, but it's still pretty funny anyways. But yeah, I mean, once we actually met him, I mean, he was super nice. Mm-hmm. And it's just terrible, like you said, what he had to deal with losing his son, and then now having to lose his wife. I mean, she was only 57. He's only 66. Yeah. Like that's easily something where they should have still been married and together, for 30 plus more years. And he's got to go the rest of his life and the rest of his career without her. And honestly, I know we're talking a lot about John Travolta in this, but like, it shouldn't be lost that, how great of an actress Kelly Preston was and how big of an influence she was in the 80s. But it is worth talking about Travolta because it's one of those things where he's had it hard in the public eye over the past couple of years, anyways. And I really just hope that this isn't a situation like like Gene Wilder or Rick Moranis, where these actors lose their wives and they just kind of go away. You know what I mean? They just kind of go into retirement or even hiding, in Gene Wilder's case towards the end there. I just hope that doesn't happen with him, because I think that would be a shame and a big loss to the entertainment community to lose Kelly Preston and then turn around and lose her husband too, because he's so racked up with grief. I know the official report said he was the one that informed like reporters and stuff and told the story.
Yeah.
So, at least he seemingly is still, good and with it right now, but I'm sure behind closed doors, he's probably, a mess. But yeah, I mean, that's just two stories to start off with that are just awful. Like we said, I mean, we've been covering a lot of celebrity deaths that are these older people that, had a great career, full life and everything. And now this week to have these two people that just had so much more life in them to give and so much more in their career to give just really sucks. But as hard as it is to kind of get into high gear here, kind of switching gears, we do want to go ahead and, hopefully brighten up your days and bring you some good news here and some good conversation about them. So the first one up here is that earlier in the week, it was reported that the Batman film directed by Matt Reeves, starring Robert Pattinson as Batman, as well as a host of other people, but mainly involving this story, Jeffrey Wright, who has been cast as Jim Gordon. Jeffrey Wright, of course, from Hunger Games as well as Westworld. It was announced that Batman movie, that Batman trilogy, will have a TV. The report was spinoff, but it almost seems more like a TV counterpart.
It's a prequel, isn't it?
No, it's set at the same time.
Oh,
yeah, that's what I heard. That's what it says here in the article.
Okay. Huh.
But it's because the prequel was that was Gotham. That was the show that was on Fox. That was like the
which people didn't like and did like. I never watched it. I think it was kind of mixed, wasn't it?
Yeah, I never watched it. I just my brain just broke. I never watched Gotham that much, but I think it was one of those things. It was kind of it feels like Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. I think Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. is probably a much better show than Gotham, just based on the consensus of Gotham and my view of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. But what's it called? It seems like in the beginning people were not on board with Gotham, and then it kind of picked up steam and got a little bit better towards the end with their Joker stuff. All right. Sorry, I'm just reading this here.
They're good.
Yeah, so it's called the spinoff, but I would consider it more of a counterpart. So right here, we're just reading from the THR article. The Hollywood Reporter says, here's the cool wrinkle. The show will operate in the same this is the direct quote from Warner. The show will operate in the same story universe as Reeves' movie, The Batman, which stars Robert Pattinson as Batman. It also has Jeffrey Wright reprising the role of detective. It says detective of police. Oh, no, I see it is or. Okay. So it has Jeffrey Wright reprising the role of detective or police commissioner Jim Gordon. So that's probably because we don't know how far along in Gordon's career this movie is set in. It'd actually be kind of cool because, obviously in the Nolan films, we saw Gordon's progression from lieutenant in the first movie up to commissioner and then pretty much retired commissioner at the end of the third one. I think it would be really cool to see if in the Batman, he's Detective Gordon. And then by the third Batman movie and throughout this show, he gets to commissioner. That would be a really cool show that you just follow this guy's progression from a detective up to running the.
On here, it says you're reading the THR one, right? The one you linked in the doc. Yeah, it says at the bottom. Well, I don't know if it's the very bottom of it. It says it is unclear whether Wright and Pattinson would appear in the show. So,
where's that part?
It's a little bit down.
Because this says it also has Jeffrey Wright in the role of detective. I don't know. Oh, I see
where you're reading. If you go down above the picture,
Oh, okay. So it seems so that seems
they're
a little
kind of contradicting themselves.
Yeah, that seems a little misleading. But if I had to assume, I think it would probably make the most sense to have. I mean, if you're making a movie set in the Batman universe about Gotham Police Department, you would probably think that Gordon would be the main character.
Yeah, that's can you? Depending when you're filming this, is this gonna work with his schedule? Is he gonna be able to shoot this? How big of a character will he be? I mean, can you get if you want a Robert Pattinson in the show, can you get him in the show? He doesn't strike me as a guy that would sign on to do let alone I'm surprised he's doing a trilogy of movies.
See, but I don't know though, because I feel like Robert Pattinson is one, because obviously you go back to the Twilight days and he did that whole franchise and it really took a lot out of him. Just like a bunch of these franchise actors all say, where they're like, oh, I loved my time there, but oh man, like that type of thing.
Robert Downey, I mean, I'm sure he loves playing Iron Man, but he's like, I've done like however many movies. It's like,
Yeah, I mean, I think Robert. I mean, he was up to 11 movies. Endgame was his 11th appearance.
Yeah.
If I had to guess, so clear, it looks like this article doesn't have officially if Jeffrey Wright's going to be reprising his role.
Yeah. So just real quick, sorry, I was just reading it. So basically, what it says it's saying the show will operate in the same story universe as Reeves's movie, The Batman, which stars Robert Pattinson as Batman. It also has Jeffrey Wright in the role of detective.
Oh, okay. So they're referring to the movie.
The movie.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. My mistake. I read that. Okay. Okay. That makes a little bit more sense.
Yeah.
Still though. So let's go ahead and let's speculate here for a moment.
Okay.
So, for me, at least what I want to see from this show is I would love to see that. I would love it to be, and also bringing in Jeffrey Wright. It makes sense. He's in the HBO family already. With
exactly.
Westworld. Yeah. Also, an aspect of this is that this show is not an HBO show; it's an HBO Max show, which Warner has already said they are willing to put bigger budget, get more star power, that kind of stuff. So it's like it's very possible that Jeffrey Wright could be in this.
Well, they have to do that.
And another thing that you have to think about in this too is if Jeffrey Wright is in it, if he is the main character or something, it's not just about his schedule for this show and the movies. You got to think he's still on Westworld. You know what I mean? So he's got to fit Westworld in all this too, as well as many other projects that he's trying to do. The only thing that I can think of that would kind of make sense in this too is if this is going to be kind of like 8 episodes or even less. You know what I mean? Where it's just going to be like an hour-long format. And I mean like true hours, like HBO does, not hours like Mandalorian, where it's like 45 minutes. Like that would make the most sense to me. So you could film it. You could film it the whole show in like month and a half, 2 months. You know what I mean? And then work on post and stuff.
Yeah.
Much closer to just basically like a big movie, not like like something like Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. or the CW shows, which film for like 8 months.
How long do you think it'll be? Do you think it'll be like multiple seasons or just like a limited like 10 episode thing or like? I
feel
like they could do like a season per movie. Something like that, Have they said it would be like, oh, it'll go through all 3 movies, or it's only like
because it doesn't even say series. I mean, people like reportings and stuff have said series, but it just says a TV spinoff.
Oh, okay.
So maybe it could be a one-off. I don't know. Maybe it could be like a WandaVision or like Loki or like. Well, Loki and Falcon and Winter Soldier and them, they seem to be more than one season, but like WandaVision, that seems like that's going to be a one and done type thing to lead into Doctor Strange. I don't know. I honestly think I would be fine with it if it was just a 1 season thing. Yeah. Kind of like Watchmen.
As long as they're not trying to spread themselves too thin, where it's like we're like grasping straws trying to get a story out here. And it's just really not working. And it's almost like it could weigh down the movies as well. If they're really like trying to like work something out, it's really not working. And, you could be like, well, is this going to like represent what's going to happen in the movie? And if it does, it's not really what I want.
Yeah. I mean, I would hope that, Matt Reeves has a good story plotted out for it and everything. But yeah, I mean, it'll definitely be interesting to get more details on it. Clearly, some casting information. Because also, I mean, how cool would it be if you had random appearances by like Colin Farrell? Like if he showed up as the Penguin, or if you had Paul Dano in an episode as the Riddler. You know what I mean?
Like how many how big time that cast is.
Yeah.
There's
because there's so like official stuff on it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, that movie's going to be insane. Yeah. I can't wait for it to come out, but we'll definitely be taking a look at that situation. Another situation that we will be looking at, and this is the one that I was talking about, that we will be going much further in depth on this next story, in the Planet Council episode, we're going to be doing some crazy speculation, things that we want to see from it, things that we think we might see from it. And that is something that was reported, or I don't want, okay. I don't know if it's technically reported, but it was tweeted out about a month and a half ago by somebody who I can't remember the Twitter handle right now. It's not some of the regular people that I follow on Twitter. It was another person that I wasn't sure how reliable it was, but they tweeted out that they said, we can confirm that the next animated show from Disney in the Star Wars universe is going to be The Bad Batch. And finally today, about a month and a half after that initial tweet, StarWars.com and Lucasfilm officially released, and like the Disney Plus and regular Disney accounts all officially put out that Star Wars The Bad Batch will be an all new, the new animated series coming to Disney Plus in 2021. So coming in 2021, I mean, you've got to assume this thing's been in production for years.
That seemed really soon. I'm surprised they were like 2022, 2023.
I wouldn't be surprised. Like you think back to the Celebration 2019, I think, was the first time we got the Clone Wars Saved trailer. I wouldn't be surprised if it was already in production at that time.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I would not be shocked at all. I would not be shocked at all if Rebels ended. Filoni spent about a year on Clone Wars, a year on Mando, and then went right into this. You know what I mean? Like,
I have to imagine he was probably like, I think I have something with this. Like, I think I have like new characters and I'm wondering if if I'm remembering like this during the last season. Obviously, like the middle arc was not the best. The standouts was the last arc and then the first one, which with the Bad Batch. I wonder if it'll be like a little bit more like grittier of an animation show, like just I guess just like a little bit darker. I'm just like trying to think because is it like is it saying like how they got there or is it?
So it's a story set here. Let me pull up the official synopsis here on Disney, and it's just like Disney. Or just like Star Wars, you pull up the official StarWars.com news article. There is one. Is that even a paragraph? There's one sentence that says the news that says that Disney Plus ordered it. One paragraph synopsis, a one paragraph quote, and then a list of the directors or a list of the producers, and that is it. That's all you get. So like Disney to do that. So basically here it says the series follows the elite and experimental clones of the Bad Batch first introduced in the Clone Wars as they find their way. Now this is the most interesting part. As they find their way in a rapidly changing galaxy in the immediate aftermath of the Clone Wars. Members of the Bad Batch, a unique squad of clones who vary genetically from their brothers in the Clone Army, each possess a singular exceptional skill, which makes them extraordinarily effective soldiers and a formidable crew. In the post-Clone War era, they will take on daring mercenary missions as they struggle to stay afloat and find new purpose. So to me, that sounds awesome because I remember when that original tweet came out, I was like, post Order 66. I was like, what? How is that a show? Like, what are they going to be doing? Like, it's over. But this, because I think it makes sense. And not to get, I don't want to get too much into speculation on it because we're going to save that for Planet Council. But for me, at least, I think it would make, I don't want to get into details here for spoilers for Clone Wars, but it would make sense to me that maybe Order 66 did not affect the Bad Batch.
That I would also.
And then also the newest member of the Bad Batch, Echo, who they did say is going to be in the show, obviously, because that would just make sense, which is awesome. Having a fan favorite clone not only come back in Clone Wars, but now get basically his own show. Like, that is so cool. It would also make sense why he was not affected by Order 66 as well, because of the state he was in. But yeah, I mean, what are your initial thoughts on this? Like we said, don't get too much into speculation. We will be covering that this weekend's episode. But what are your thoughts on this news?
I'm excited. As you probably said in like previous podcasts, I recently watched Clone Wars and then I watched Rebels. Both very good shows in my opinion, which I feel like everybody thinks. This is just great news because these are definitely one of the more, as I said before, the better characters to come out of that arc, the last season. And it's just kind of adding to like that's the great thing about Star Wars. It's like it's like a never ending, like you can just add and add and add and add, and it's just like you're never gonna. It's just you have so much space for everything, and you can do whatever you want with it, and they could just come out with shows and movies and ideas and books and comics for all the rest of eternity. I just like how they're always consistently expanding on the universe. I mean, they kind of have to, but as people are saying, with these next movies, it's like, all right, can we like leave the Skywalker saga? It's like there's more than just Skywalkers.
Mm-hmm. And I think that. Oh wait, no, sorry, you continue.
And even though this is like still like in that vein, like I'm sure like maybe you get like a cameo from like Ahsoka or something like that in the show. Maybe just something like maybe. But yeah, I'm really excited about it.
Yeah. So words. Yeah. So yeah, I'm super excited for the show too, but you got to think too, now certain things are kind of starting to make a little bit more sense. Like why Dave Filoni is still on as co-showrunner and executive producer of Mandalorian, but why is he only directing one episode? Like now it makes a little bit more sense that he seems a little more tied up than he was 2 years ago. And you got to think too, we know for a fact that there's some sort of a show, whether it's live action or animated, where we are going to see Ezra and Thrawn again. Mm-hmm. We know that is happening. We don't know what form it's going to take. You got to imagine Filoni's working on that. He's working on Mando. He's show running the Bad Batch. He's assumingly directing multiple episodes of Bad Batch, just like he does in Clone Wars. And more too. Yeah. There's probably even more things that we don't even know about that are still coming. And it's like the whole buzz on the internet over the past like few months has been Star Wars is taking a break from the films. We have Rian Johnson's trilogy coming at some point in the future, maybe. Yes, we do officially have Taika writing and directing a Star Wars movie. Fantastic. But clearly now that is on the back burner. Clearly they know that the fan base has consistently been loving these TV shows and has pretty consistently been crapping on the movies. Well, you know what I mean? The movies themselves have garnered more division in the fan base than more fans, I should say. Yeah. Whereas the TV shows have consistently been very, very good. You know what I mean? People loved Clone Wars. People were pissed at Disney when it ended, but then we got Rebels, which people were like, oh, this is for kids. And then all of a sudden it was not for kids. Well, I'm just saying when it first came out, that was the consensus.
Oh, okay.
Was they were like, Disney XD, what is this? And then the last two seasons of that show were like, hold my beer, because there is death and beheadings and dismemberment and a whole bunch of character deaths and crap. That show gets very dark very fast. And then people were praising Disney for Rebels, and then Disney said, let me do you one better and let me bring you back Clone Wars. They were like, listen, we screwed up. We didn't let the show finish because we wanted this Rebels show. Now Rebels has ended in a great way. We are still on great terms with everybody. Let's just bring everybody back and do another season. The season went over well, like you said. Really, the Trace and Rafa arc was the only one that was like, "Are we still doing this?" Like that kind of thing.
They were like, "Okay, this is what you're here for. Let me give it to you."
Yeah, no, exactly. In the beginning and the end of the season, they delivered ridiculously.
Yeah.
But especially with the beginning, because obviously the Bad Batch, and now it kind of makes sense that out of all the scrapped arcs, they were like, no, we have to do the Bad Batch because that is the show that has potential. I still think, actually, if we were living in an alternate universe right now, this is as deep Star Wars I'll get on this show, because we'll talk more about this in Council, but if we were living in an alternate universe right now, there is out there animatics. I don't know if they're still on StarWars.com, but there's animatics out there of what was supposed to be a season 7 arc of Clone Wars, which is Cad Bane versus Boba Fett. And it shows you when Boba puts his dad's armor on and all that stuff. Cad Bane is the one responsible for the blaster bolt in his helmet. I still think that would have made if they had finished that arc and put it in season 7, I think that would have been just as equally a great spin-off show, like a Cad Bane bounty hunter show. You know what I mean? I think that would have been really, really good. So the last question I'll put to you for this, before we talk more about it on Council at the weekend, what animation style do you think this is going to take on? Because we have the very, very kind of used to be blocky, less blocky now, but blocky, asymmetric type design, almost cell shaded type look of Clone Wars. And then we have the very rounded, smoothed out, kind of basic animation style of Rebels. Do you think this is going to continue with the Clone Wars style, or do you think we're going to get a totally new style of animation?
I feel like it'll probably just stick with the Clone Wars style, just considering that's where they're, but the series they're from.
Yeah.
I was just thinking in my head, I was thinking both of the two animation styles. And I was like, well, which? Because I remember when I first started watching Rebels, I was like, I don't like this. Like I don't like they're, and I kind of just got used to it. Definitely like the lightsabers. Like I mean, I like them more in Clone Wars than I did in Rebels. I don't like the thin.
See, that's a very popular opinion. For me, I love the thin sabers. I think that looks so cool. But that's the more popular opinion.
But no, overall, like I think they'll just stick with what they know, or and also with what maybe I don't know. Some people might find it like a little weird, like if it's like something
that keeps changing,
completely different.
Yeah. For me, and I should have mentioned too, Star Wars Resistance, obviously, another animated show that Dave Filoni was the executive producer on, had more of it was a 3D show, but it had more of a flat 2D look to it, almost like anime style. So that was a totally other form of animation. But I will say, I think going forward, I think even with whatever sort of animated successor show that we get to Rebels, I think going forward, it's going to be closer to the Clone Wars look. I think even if we get, a show with Ezra and Ahsoka and Rex and all of them and Zeb back together again, I think it's going to look closer to Clone Wars than it did to Rebels. Because I think it was kind of like a test thing to see, this is a different show. Let's make it closer to this. Yeah. But as you said, now that they are having more of an emphasis on these animated shows, I think they're going to, from now on, go for a more uniform look.
Yeah.
If I had to guess, it's going to be a little bit different than the Clone Wars one. Like, I think it's still going to be in that style, but I think there's going to be like a little bit of a tweak. Maybe something even in between Clone Wars and Rebels style. You know what I mean?
It's on in season 7 it looked really good. Like you could tell the difference between season 6 and season 7. Like the anime.
Oh yeah. Oh, the anime, even the animation style aside, the fact that they had like actual blocking and sweeping camera motions in an animated show was so cool. Like the hallway fight in the Bad Batch arc was just incredible. Like where they are just going through the place, just mowing down droids. It felt like Daredevil. You know what I mean? Like it felt like that kind of a hallway fight. But yeah, I mean, what are your, do you have any final thoughts on this news here before we go ahead and go to the next topic?
I'm really excited about it. And I'm honestly like, if you want to hear more thoughts, tune in this week to Planet Council. I think it's, when does it come out? Saturday?
Yeah, this one should be Saturday. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, weekends are hard to schedule, folks.
Yeah.
But yeah, it will be probably Saturday this week. So tune in for that episode where we will be going in depth. If I can get the words out and speak properly, we'll be going in depth with that. We'll be doing a lot more speculation for what we want to see in this. We're going to have a big discussion on what we want to see from this show, and also what we think we're going to see from this show. So definitely tune in this Saturday for more talk on that. Next up, biggest news of the year right now. Ludacris insinuates that Fast 9 is going to space. Or I'm sorry, F9 : the Furious or the Fast and Furious saga. I guess that's what we're calling this one. What are your thoughts?
Cruise will make a cameo. He wants to go to space.
He's making that movie in space.
Yeah, maybe that's the movie.
I don't see. I'm like seriously considering this right now.
When he said space, does he mean like they're gonna CGI like space, or does he mean like go to space?
No, he's going to space. He's filming. What's his name?
No, Tom Cruise.
Musk?
I know Tom Cruise. I know. I meant Ludacris.
Oh, yeah. No. Like the story is gonna take them to space.
Oh, okay.
Not like they're not paying anybody.
That's still wild. I mean, if you've seen the F8, is there like a name for it, or is it just F8?
That one was Fate of the Furious.
No. Wait, the most recent one that's been pushed isn't F9 like? Oh
no, yeah. Oh. No, F9 is the one right now. That's
sorry,
the one with John Cena. Yeah. They all blend together.
Dude, I was gonna say how much.
Quick statement here. I have never seen any of them. I've only seen Hobbs and Shaw. Yeah, I've only seen Hobbs and Shaw. I loved Hobbs and Shaw. I thought it was a really great movie, but just quick.
I mean, how much, if you watch the trailer for F9, literally the ending scene of it is Vin Diesel drives off the cliff and he gets hooked and it swings like across on like a presumably 300-year-old rope. It supports like a muscle car. And then also Charlize Theron picks John Cena up in a car in like a shuttle. Maybe that shuttle just goes into space. I don't know. Maybe she flies into space. I mean, I do like, it started off like the movie started off as like, kind of like a grounded, like, racing like movie about cars and stuff like that.
Isn't the joke that like they were like stealing DVD players or something?
Yeah,
right? like I mean, the first one,
the fifth one, or they like steal like a vault from Brazil or something like that.
Oh wow.
But they do kind of know what they are now. I feel like they've kind of accepted that they're kind of this, just like out of your mind, like action adventure movie. I mean, if it goes to space, that's cool. I don't know. Like, I don't know where do you go after that? Like, after you go to space, what's next? You gotta keep up with the game. No,
you gotta go to Mars.
Like, I just can't imagine like when you go to space, like you attach the car to a rocket and the rocket goes to space, and then the rocket like breaks apart like when it's in space, like the car.
I got it. You ready?
Yeah.
Everybody drives in. They think they're driving into this exclusive club. It's like got one of those fancy like elevator like car garages, so they keep driving in, and they're like, and then like Ludacris goes like, Dom, something don't feel right about this. And then like, I don't know, Tyrese is like, yeah, man, I don't know. Like, and then I don't know what they sound. And then who else is in those movies? John Cena's like, that's right, Dom. And he presses a button, and then the car garage isn't a car garage at all. It's the space shuttle.
Well, John Cena's like a villain in this.
That's what I mean. He's like, he sends into space.
He's like,
gotcha, bro. Yeah, literally, bro. Isn't he his brother?
Yeah, he's his,
And there's been no mention of him having a brother before this, right?
No, probably. I don't think so. No. The real question is John Cena going to be at the barbecue at the end? Every movie they always have like a barbecue at the end. I feel like
probably
the family. He has like.
Isn't the real question though? Didn't Luke Evans just like kind of disappear in that franchise? Isn't he still alive?
Died. I think Are you thinking of what's his name? Oh my god, not Luke Evans. Jason Statham. Are you thinking of Jason Statham?
No. I know he's not because
No, I think Luke Evans died in the
because
movie.
in Hobbs and Shaw, Deckard Shaw, who's Jason Statham's character, and his sister meet with Helen Mirren, and she says that your brother was in like last week or something.
Oh,
so I think he's still alive. But hasn't he not been in like the last 2 movies?
I thought he was in. No, I don't know. It's been a long time since.
Oh, no. Okay, I just remembered from a review because I have not seen the movie.
Yeah.
I know that there's like a really funny scene where Jason Bateman has the baby in like a baby Bjorn.
Yeah.
Jason Bateman.
Yeah. I know what
Jason Statham. His brother's with him in that scene.
Yeah.
So that he is alive.
Oh, because they call him in the movie. I remember.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I don't know.
No,
yeah,
so
but
I just think he is still alive. Yes.
I just remembered because I remember somebody was like, "Yeah, you got the Shaw brothers with the baby Bjorn like shooting up the place." And I was like, I gotta watch it. I mean, I gotta watch it at some point.
I don't think they're streaming or anything, but
I watched. The reason why I do know like anything about it is I watched Dan Murrell did when he was with Screen Junkies. R.I.P. to Dan at Screen Junkies. They did a show called Cram It. That's what it was called, Cram It, where where he did it for a bunch of different franchises where he would, like it says, cram all the info into like a 45-minute video to catch you up on the entire franchise. And I watched the one for Fast and Furious before I went to see Hobbs and Shaw. So that's like how I know any of this information. But yeah, I mean, I don't even know why we're talking about this story, but it was just so funny to me.
Cool. I'll probably see the movie. So I guess that's
I mean, I will say this. Before Fast and Furious 9 comes out, I will watch the other movies. I'll watch the other movies. I know that he like drifts a car out of a building into another building.
Oh, that's a cool scene. That's a cool like.
Oh yeah, I've seen that scene because it's like the intro on like any Blu-ray where it's like now in Blu-ray, it's like the car going from one building to another.
I have not seen all of them. I will say that. I think I've seen almost all of them. I haven't seen Tokyo Drift, which I've always heard is the worst one. But yeah,
we should do.
And then what's his name is back too.
Han, Justice for Han.
Yeah,
right? Yeah.
I don't know. I thought he died in the third one. I guess
so did I. I don't know.
See what happens. I don't
know. What's it called? But we should do like mini reviews for that on the YouTube feed. We should do like little like 5-minute reviews for each of those movies. Okay, so next up here on the news, some pretty bummer news here, but hopefully it will be worth it. So Halloween Kills, and then by extension Halloween Ends, were originally going to come out a year apart. It was going to be Halloween 2021 and then Halloween 20. No. Oh crap. Oh, that just got even okay. My brain is not working with dates and stuff. Halloween Kills was supposed to be this Halloween, Halloween 2020. Oh, it was so close. I didn't even think. Oh my God, my brain. That just got so much more of a bummer. Okay, so Halloween Kills is now pushed to 2021. And then I don't think they officially said Halloween Ends is postponed a year, but I don't think they're going to come out on the same date. Okay, yeah. Because I was like, I don't think they're going to come out on the same date. So I'm assuming they pushed Halloween Ends another year. So, man, that really sucks. We were so close. It was like 2.5 months away. Oh, man. Now I'm bummed. Okay. Anyways, let's get it. Okay, that's like, okay. I love that first movie. So, Halloween Kills and Halloween Ends have been delayed an entire year due to the coronavirus pandemic. Clearly, they want this franchise to go out with a bang. They want that bang to be on Halloween night, which is totally understandable. I mean, these movies with, ever since Blumhouse got involved with all these horror movies, like they're just kicking ass.
I mean, there's some misses, like,
Well, yeah,
mostly hits, mostly
few and far between on the misses, but there are misses. I just completely forgot the movie I was just about to name. My brain is not having a good day today. So along with this, John Carpenter and David Gordon Green. John Carpenter, obviously director and composer of the first movie. And David Gordon Green, the guy who kind of revitalized it, directed this last Halloween movie and then the next two as well. And they filmed the two movies back to back, which is not done too much these days, but it seemed like it was helpful in this case because they got them all done already. Sent out this long message to the fans saying, how deeply sad they are that they're going to have to delay it. But basically, like, we want you guys to have the best experience for this. We don't want, our part one of our climactic Halloween film to come out like Memorial Day weekend or so, you know what I mean? Just like take all the energy out of it. So they were like, we're just going to do the wise thing because they don't know the future of film, as we'll talk about in the last section of the news here today. We don't know, what the landscape of movie theaters is going to look like. So they're just doing kind of the wise thing, I would say, and pushing it a whole year. But with that, we did get a badass teaser of Halloween Kills. John Carpenter tweeted that out. It's about like 21 seconds, I want to say, if that.
Long,
what are your thoughts on the move? How bummed are you? And what are your thoughts on that teaser?
I feel like a few months ago, I thought this movie was coming out next year for some reason already. I liked the remake. I thought it was very good, actually. With this news coming out, a few things I've been watching, I feel like some people have said they had mixed feelings about the remake, which I didn't really understand. But no, like you said, the teaser, it's the girls escaping in the back of a truck, it looks like, and there's cops and firemen rushing to the burning house, and Jamie Lee Curtis is screaming for them to let it burn, and I think it just ends with the shot of him just standing in the burning basement.
Yeah.
But I'm excited to see like how they end this. I think she called it, I thought I saw a quote where she called it a masterpiece, which that's something it's very bold to say. So I'm hoping it's good. So I'm assuming this is like, with the titles too, it's gotta be the end, right? Like they're not going to make it again. Like John Carpenter's like, all right, this is it. I
don't think John Carpenter
don't go remaking it again.
I don't think John Carpenter is ever going to make a Halloween movie again. But 20 years from now, Judy Greer's 60 years old. You know what I mean? Like maybe she comes back to do like David Gordon Green's like one more movie before I retire. Like, you know what I mean? Like, who knows? But I would say with this current group with Jamie Lee Curtis, the young girl that plays the granddaughter, I can't remember her name, and Judy Greer. I think this group with Blumhouse and all them, I think this is it for this trilogy. But with Hollywood, I mean, I would say never say.
That's it. Like,
you know what I mean?
Remake like Redcon, like every other movie except for 1 and 2.
The first one. No, just the first one, because the second one, remember in the new one, one of the granddaughter's friends is like, wasn't Michael Myers like her brother or something? And they were like, that's just something that people made up. Yeah, that's just a myth or something, which is so funny. I mean, it pissed off a lot of people because Halloween 2 is widely regarded as like a pretty good Halloween movie. But I think just for the simplicity of it, they just wanted to be like, they're not related. So like, and that's really the only thing that the second movie gave us.
I mean, the only thing I didn't like, I'm not turning this into like a remake Halloween review, but the only thing I didn't like was I thought that the doctor thing was kind of dumb. In like the middle of it. It's
kind of the same style as like, I always thought, I mean, I know people love the character and stuff, but I always thought the whole Dr. Loomis thing was like, give me a break.
Like every movie almost, I think.
Yeah, he's literally in almost every movie, like except for this one, which they just replaced him with another crackpot doctor. You know what I mean? It's like, to me, the whole psychiatric aspect of Michael Myers has never been too interesting to me, I guess. I don't know. That's just my personal taste, I guess. I just much prefer in a vein of, the YouTuber, Mark Riley. He says, his whole thing is the shape, Michael Myers being something that like, you don't know where it is. You can't see it personified, I think perfectly in the remake when you have, Laurie seeing him in the window, shoots it, and then you realize it's a mirror. It's like, even when she has a direct line of sight, he still manages to, get one over on her. I think to me that is the best part. I think it's the psychological torture that he puts on other people. I don't care about Michael Myers' own psyche. You know what I mean? That's just me. This is my opinion. But yeah, I mean, super excited for this. I thought the teaser was fantastic. I thought for 20 seconds, you could tell. I mean, they're all, and I love that this whole trilogy, they're setting it in one night. You know what I mean? That it's not like, oh, it's been a whole year or it's been 5 years since the last movie. They're like, no, this is 20 seconds after the credits rolled. They're still in the back of that truck, and the fire department is going to the house, and I just love just all of them. And then Jamie Lee Curtis just like screaming, and just let it burn, like, oh my god. And then, like you said, just that one shot, just the and just the shot of him was like, oh, I cannot wait. I can't believe it's like 14 months now we have to wait. Oh
wow, yeah, it's
gonna be rough.
Yeah,
and then we gotta wait a whole another year to see how it ends. Crap. All right, well, it's gonna be worth the wait. It's definitely gonna be worth the wait. Okay, so more possibly Blumhouse news. We don't really know if this is going to be in the same universe, but Upgrade and Invisible Man Helmer, Leigh Whannell is going to be directing. Nope, strike that from my memory. It definitely is Blumhouse. I just remembered in my brain that Jason Blum tweeted this out. So this is in the Blumhouse vein of the monster movies. Whether it's going to cross over, I'm guessing Universal is going to want it to, but right now that's not clear. But this is going to be a Blumhouse film. Invisible Man, Helmer, Leigh Whannell is going to direct Ryan Gosling in the Wolfman movie. A few weeks back, we got word that Ryan Gosling had been cast in the joint Blumhouse Universal Wolfman movie, and now this week we do have Leigh Whannell seemingly signing on. This here says that it's like that he's in talks, but Jason Blum tweeted it out, so I'm guessing it's probably a lot
to star in it. Like Ryan Gosling,
Leigh Whannell, I should say. Okay. Leigh Whannell. I mean, the original reports were like that he's in talks, but with Jason Blum tweeting it out, I mean, it's probably going to be official. You know what I mean? He maybe he hasn't signed yet, but I mean, it's probably a sure thing.
Was Invisible Man Universal or no?
Yeah, they're all Universal because it's the Universal Monsters, but they're Blumhouse productions.
Okay.
So it's basically Blumhouse after the catastrophe that was the Dark Universe.
I've heard it referred to as the Dooku, the Dark Universe Cinematic Universe.
Oh yes, after the Count Dooku, after the tragedy of Count Dooku, we had. Basically, Jason Blum and Blumhouse did a hell of a campaign to try and get the rights from Universal, not from Universal, but the rights from Universal to use their characters. Yeah. Which they got because I think Universal was like, "Listen, we don't know how to make horror movies anymore." And they were like,
I don't know if you want to put it in here, but that classic picture of they had some heavy hitters playing these villains.
We
had Tom Cruise. We had Johnny Depp.
Angelina Jolie.
She was who was she?
Yeah, she was going to be the what's her name? Bride of Frankenstein.
Oh, I didn't know that. Oh,
yeah,
wow.
Angelina Jolie was in that picture. At least I think it was Angelina.
No,
Jolie.
it was the girl. It was the co-star in The Mummy. That woman. I don't know her name.
Are you sure? Hang on.
I'm pretty sure. Yeah.
Oh yeah, you're right. But okay, hang on though. Angelina Jolie was definitely. Hold up here.
Who else was in that picture? Benicio del Toro, right?
Sometimes the internet really just is not
as
your
helpful
friend as people think. Yeah. All right, here we go. Can you
picture? Yeah, we had Russell Crowe. That was the other one.
Yeah, because he was Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde.
And
What is
then
going on here with my computer right
you
now?
want me to pull, what do you need to pull up?
Hold up. No. This is what I was trying to do. There we go. Okay. So this is what we're talking about here. That is awful quality.
Awful, but
Yeah, that is what we're talking about here, though, with the Dark Universe casting. I swear to God, though, I am not losing my mind. Hang on. I'm looking this up. Dark Universe, Angelina Jolie. She was definitely cast as something, I think. Unless my brain is really just dying right now. Dark Universe, not dead. Yes, yeah, there we go. Yeah, so she was slated to be in the Bride of Frankenstein movie.
Oh, all right.
Yeah, so that's what it was. You were right. It was Sophia Boutella in the picture, but my brain put Angelina Jolie in there because she was supposed to be the next movie, which was the Bride of Frankenstein, but that did not happen. But yeah, I mean, there was some heavy hitters that were supposed to be in that universe there. So let's speculate for a minute here. Do you think this is eventually going to cross over with the same director coming in, the same production house, everything like that? Do you think this is going to be in the same universe?
Well, is Invisible Man?
Yeah.
Okay, well, the thing with that is they're also, I don't think it's it might not be Universal. Hold on, I'm sorry. There is an Invisible Woman movie coming out.
Yeah, that's the Elizabeth Banks one. That one is not Blumhouse. That's the difference there.
Okay, is it that's Universal's character though, correct?
Yes, that's just from Universal. Yeah, that is Universal's character, but it's not a Blumhouse production.
Yeah, that makes no sense to me. It's like why don't you just like okay, yeah, well, first of all, Invisible Man, really good movie. The edit, like few things at the ending, I was kind of like,
Yeah, there's like a big character choice at the end that me and TJ both when we both saw it, I was like, it doesn't really sync up with that character's decision making in the rest of the film.
Yeah, but like, why don't you just cast Elizabeth Moss? Like, why are you making like two different like? She's in the Invisible Man movie, and if you've seen,
like, I would just say, yeah. So let's put up spoiler warning for 2020's Invisible Man right now. It's the only movie that came out this year, so go watch it. But not the only movie, but one of the bigger ones. But spoilers for that movie. I'll wave my hands again when I'm done. So spoilers from here. If you have seen that movie, there is no Invisible Man 2. The next movie should be The Invisible Woman with Elizabeth Moss. Like, you know what I mean? Like, that movie ends with her taking the suit.
Yeah.
And you would expect that the next movie would be her as Invisible. You know what I mean? Like, if I was Universal, just scrap the Elizabeth Banks one.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah. The thing I don't understand is when they were going to put all these, they're going to interconnect all these movies together. Like, what's the end? Like, you're okay. You have like, you have all these solo movies for these different monsters, but if they're all connected, why are they connected? Like, what is the, for lack of a better term, end game? Like, what are they all going to wreak havoc on? People is at the end. Like, they're all going to come together and form like a dark.
I don't know, because it's like, what do you have them fight? They're the monsters.
Exactly. That's why I'm like,
I don't understand. Like, it's like a Fast and Furious situation where the only thing they can do, spoilers over, by the way, spoilers over. Like, the only thing that they can do is fight other monsters. It's like, do you just have them team up and then every movie they fight a monster and then that monster becomes a part of the team? You know what I mean? They go
approach and do it that way.
Oh, what approach there?
Freddy vs. Jason. You ever seen that movie?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I mean, you could do that. You could do it that way too.
I think it'll ever. I don't think so. If this one's also successful, maybe they'll throw like an end scene or something in, like
Mhm.
in another movie, in another monster movie. But it seems like I'm kind of hoping they just keep them separate. Because, like I said, like if you're not
Entirely.
building towards anything, then what's the point?
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's one of those things where you could do almost like what's the analogy I want to make? Like Spider-Man
Yeah.
the game and Avengers the game,
Okay.
where it's like they're not ever going to team up,
yeah.
but you can tell the Avengers exist in the Spider-Man game and Spider-Man exists in the Avengers game,
So it's like
but you
they're not,
don't
like,
cross the streams.
they're not
You know what I
shaking
mean?
hands, but it's like, oh, did
Yeah.
you see that picture? There's an invisible man, or like something like that.
Exactly. Or like kind of like Venom. Venom might be a better example. You know what I mean? Where it's like oh, there's like a spider guy. Like who's J. Jonah Jameson? What's going on? I'm Eddie Brock, you know? Like #1 beat reporter in the world. Man, we gotta review Venom. But
I think if Invisible Man is any signal of how this movie, I'm expecting it to be. Is Lee Winnell like also writing it?
I don't know. I do not know.
Wolfman. I didn't expect Ryan Gosling to be in like this movie. He doesn't strike me as a guy who would be in a horror movie.
Yeah. Yeah, he
I mean,
does not.
You know, good on him, I guess. I don't know. It says no. Oh, Lauren. Oh, it says David. Is that right? No. Is that his wife, Lauren Blum? I'm assuming
That's Jason Blum's wife. Yeah.
she's listed as a writer. So
Okay, there you go. Yeah, Lauren Schucker Blum.
oh, and Lee
And then
Winnell.
and then on IMDb here it says Rebecca Angelino, Lee Winnell, and Lauren Blum are listed
Gotcha.
as the writers.
Okay.
So yeah, I mean it seems to be coming from the exact same brain trust that made Invisible Man. If that's the case, I'm very much for it. It sounds pretty cool. But let's go ahead and get into our last news topic because we are going a little bit long on the news today just because there's been some cool stuff to talk about. But the last thing we just want to talk about real quick here, and then also this week's movie review is probably going to be a quicker one just because we're for the first time actually on Planet Film, we are reviewing a brand new release that came out this week. We're going to be reviewing Palm Springs. So that's going to be probably a little bit shorter review than normal just because we don't have to have a big conversation of like how we found the movie and stuff. But the last thing in kind of new news, it's not really news, but just what are we doing with the movie industry right now?
I was waiting.
Gavin Newsom.
I almost said to you, I go, wow, you didn't put Nolan on the list?
Yeah, I didn't for what he's talking about. I didn't write it in the notes that I write for the show. Yeah. Just because I didn't know if I was going to bring it up, but I really want to just bring it up and just talk about it. So right now, I mean, we are seeing in the U.S. at least, and I know there was one person from Denmark that listened to this show on YouTube. So
hey, shout out Denmark.
Shout out to Denmark, our fans in Denmark. Show your family, show everybody you know. So to the guy in Denmark who doesn't know, or maybe does know, I don't know how worldly you are, but the U.S. right now is a shit show when it comes to the coronavirus. Just saying, our leadership has not been stellar on a nationwide basis. I would say New York is doing fairly well right now, comparatively to other states. But a state that was doing really, really well, really turned it around, flattened the curve, was California. California did everything right, just like New York did. They flattened the curve, and then people just kind of stopped practicing social distancing, stopped wearing masks where they could get away with it, obviously. And now you are seeing crazy spikes in California. Not even going to talk about Florida and Texas because that is just rip Florida. That's a whole nother thing. Florida is really just on its own right now. I don't know what is going on in that state. Which, by the way, just a quick word I saw on the news today. All of this is happening and Florida still doesn't even have a statewide mask policy, which is crazy. Yeah. But California is what we're talking about today, which is today, about an hour before we started recording. Gavin Newsom of California, went on and he said, everything is closing. We are going completely back. Yeah, not even back to phase 1. We are going back to where it was in the quarantine lockdown. Everything's closed. Fitness centers, gyms, all indoor restaurants, all bar operations, all public gatherings, everything's done. All movie theaters done, including drive-ins, obviously, which I know you went to the drive-in this past week, and I'm probably going to be going there this next week, just because, like we said, we live in New York and things are a little bit better over here, so we're able to start, kind of going out places. But drive-in theaters, which have been open in California for a few weeks, will now be closed. I mean, what do you think? Let's just do this. Let's just be quick because we've talked about this to death. Let's just do one question. We'll both answer it here. In, let's say, a paragraph or less. You're not typing, but a paragraph or less. What do you think the film industry should do for the rest of 2020? And then tell me, what do you think they are going to do for the rest of 2020?
I think the lower budget movies, I think you release them on VOD for, what have they been doing? $20, $25 in that area?
Yeah, like $19.99 for a rental. Some of them even $19.99 to buy. Yeah,
which again, if they're intriguing enough, people will pay that. Like if okay, obviously Tenet's not an indie movie, but if it came out on VOD for $20, I'd definitely rent it. I can tell you that. I know you would rent it, I assume.
Yeah.
I mean, what are they going to do? They're going to just push everything because they have to make money, and in their minds, which again, they're probably right, is you can't make money on, VOD $20 rentals because, you put it out in the theater, you're having every single person pay $11.49 or whatever the price is anywhere, the highest price for each ticket for each person. With a rental, you could have, 5 people watch it and you're only paying $20 once.
Mm-hmm.
So obviously it decreases the amount of revenue they're bringing in. I just, if the big markets don't open up, like you said, California, New York City obviously is one of them. Mm-hmm. Florida's probably one of them, I'm guessing. It's just kind of like a wash. Like you might as well, like something like, I don't want to, it's not an indie movie, but something like Bill and Ted, I feel like could be released on VOD.
Oh yeah. Anything with a budget where you're talking like 30 million or less.
Yeah.
Release it on VOD. Okay. So this is what I think they should do. It's pretty much what you said, but a little bit different. What I think you should do and what I think they could do. This is absolutely something that they could do. I don't know, obviously, what the exact amount would have to be, but I would say, like what you said, set an industry standard that is, if your movie is like $40 million budget or less, just go to VOD. Go to VOD, do $20 or $24, let's say even $24.99. It'll be up to the individual studio and the individual movie to decide if that's $24.99 for a rental or if that's $24.99 for buying the movie. I would say blockbusters. I think this is what they should do and what they could do, because I think the architecture is not there for Disney Plus to put premium titles on there to like be like, oh, here's Black Widow. Yeah. Let me charge your credit card another $20, then you can watch it. I don't think they have the infrastructure in place.
They'd have to update it probably, but you could probably.
No, exactly. They'd have to like code it because, like we've talked about before, Disney Plus is a totally new app. They built it from the ground up, so they'd have to actually make that feature to bake into the app. But what I think you should do for blockbusters is, honestly, it's steep. But I'm sure you would pay it, and I'm sure I would pay it, and I'm sure every single person on the internet who is pissed that they can't see Black Widow would pay it too. And that is, do a 48-hour rental for $70, $80. if you want to see the movie,
Yeah.
listen, if you want to see the movie, okay, fine, make it a week.
Say that, but I would probably pay that. Like I say, like I probably
exactly. You would, I would. Everyone that is to the point where they are tweeting furiously, where they're mad that they can't see Black Widow, you would pay it. Yeah. And guess what? In this circumstance, you should probably pay it because that's the only way that the movie industry is going to survive. You have to pay for your product. It's the same type of thing as like A-list. You know what I mean? Sure. If you're one person, like if I get it for like me and I live with my mom, like if we get it for that, that's only 2 people. We're paying $60, but let's say it's $69.99 for a 5-day rental. Let's just say that's what it is. We're paying for that. Obviously, that's a lot, but that's pretty similar to what we would pay if me and my mom went to the movie theater. I mean, I work in a movie theater, so it would have been free. But if I didn't work in a movie theater, that's like how much it would be if we got concessions and stuff. It would be like a $70 trip. But what that's going to help is that also means a family of 5 can show their kids that movie for $70. You know what I mean? And that's like, it's just, you have to put a premium on it. Otherwise, there is absolutely no way that they're going to release these movies on VOD. And VOD right now is the clear answer. It's like, you hear all the time about things that are like, like what a coincidence that like this innovation or this technology came around, and then right as it got good, we needed it for something. You know what I mean? This is exactly what's happening with VOD. VOD and streaming services have been booming in the last 5 years, and now all of a sudden we have this thing where all movie theaters are just off the table. You know what I mean? It's like, I don't want to say like it's a sign. Like I'm not like trying to get my tinfoil hat out or anything, but if the infrastructure is there for VOD, and I'm not saying the studios aren't looking into it, but if the infrastructure is there for VOD, look into it. Figure out what the best way to do is, because it's BS that, you can't do Black Widow on VOD. You can. You just got to charge a lot more for it. And like we said, I think the majority of people would be willing to pay for it. If they can see Black Widow in their home, they'd be willing to pay for it.
Yeah. I'm sorry. I just have a question for you. Do you have any choice words for Mr. Christopher Nolan? Not that he's listening, or maybe he is. I don't know.
I think Christopher Nolan really needs to back the F off of the world right now. Yeah. I think I said this last week. It might have just been a private conversation.
Maybe a week or two. Well, I just saw you on Twitter, so I was just curious.
Oh, no, yeah. But I think I don't know if I said this on the podcast or just to you, which is, I was listening to, I did talk about it on the podcast, but I'll say it again. I was listening to a podcast called Today Explained, and they had a sports analyst on that said, you do not, he said, sports is not indicative of a society.
Yeah, I remember this.
Get the society going, then you earn the right to have sports. It's like dessert. You know what I mean? You don't say like, what are you having for dinner tonight? Well, I don't know what I'm going to have for dinner, but for dessert, I'm going to have like cake or something. You know what I mean? Like you have to get the society up and running. Then you can start to have superfluous stuff. You know what I mean? Then you can start bringing sports in. Then you can start bringing movie theaters back. Then you can start bringing like fitness centers and gyms and stuff back. But you have to have society functioning first. You can't say, look, my movie's opening. Everything's fine. Yeah.
Well, what good is the movie putting it out if nobody's going to go see it?
Exactly. So, like his whole thing since the beginning. Yeah. And it's really gone from, I think this is the tweet you're talking about where I retweeted something where somebody was just like, the time has come to finally say, fuck Christopher Nolan, which I unfortunately, I love Christopher Nolan as a filmmaker, but I would unfortunately have to agree at this point because it's gone from a thing where it's like, Christopher Nolan, he really wants Tenet. Like he really, really wants Tenet to be a thing that's going to be the herald to bring the theater industry back. And it's like, great, cool, awesome. And then it's like, oh, but we're not getting better. The virus is still here. But he was like, no, but the movie though. The movie though that I made, like that's a good movie. That's a good movie. You guys should go see the movie. And it's like, Chris, we'll
you're not
there.
understanding me. Yeah.
Yeah. Like, we understand that you like the movie you made. Like, we get it. Like, yeah, I just can't.
Like, something like Tenet, like I don't think it ever in a million years would ever be released on VOD because I think Chris Nolan would, want to die before he released his movies.
And you know what? Honestly, that thing that I talked about with the high VOD stuff, I don't foresee a place where Disney says we're going to do that for Black Widow. But I do see a place where they could say $50, you could rent Milan for a week. You know what I mean? Like these big, huge titles like the MCU where there's so many moving pieces, like where you have to, because the problem with Black Widow is like, because the MCU is on such a strict schedule.
Yeah.
Like they gotta work. Like Kevin Feige has to work that shit out to figure out. Like, okay, so like Black Widow has to come out for the Black Widow post credit to make sense for Falcon and Winter Soldier to make sense for WandaVision, which has to lead into Doctor Strange, which then dovetails into Loki, and it's like you gotta work all that shit out. So like the MCU is a whole separate beast. But for things like Mulan, you know what I mean? Like you could put that out on VOD. God, did I? This is just my brain. I apologize, guys. My brain is on fire today, and not in a good way. Did Doolittle come out this year?
Yes.
Jesus Christ.
January, February.
Oh my God.
Because I remember you saw it. Yeah. I didn't see it.
Because I just thought to myself, Doolittle or Mulan, and then I was like, and then I thought of Doolittle, and I was like, yeah, didn't they like release Doolittle early like last year? And then I was like, wait a minute, no, Doolittle was this year. Oh my gosh.
No, the movie that did just come out on VOD, well, streaming was Scoob. I mean, that was a few weeks ago.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, that movie, you look, that's probably like a $40 million budget. You know what I mean? And they probably took a loss on that, but that's because it came out on regular VOD at a regular price. Yeah. If you put it to a higher premium, people will still pay for it and you'll make some more money back. So yeah, that was our new news segment today. Thank you for listening and enjoying. So with that, we will be right back after these messages. All right, and welcome back to the show here. So now we are going to go ahead and get into our review segment of the show every week, which is Tell Me What to Watch. I don't know what to watch.
Tell me what to do. I don't know what to do.
All right, let's go ahead and get into it. So as we discussed, actually, for the intro here, we're going to go ahead and have TJ intro the movie while I go ahead and pull up something real quick here.
All right. So this week we decided to review a Hulu original. Pretty sure it came out this week sometime. Oh, July 10th. Sorry. Called Palm Springs, starring Andy Samberg, Christina Milioti.
Yeah, Milioti.
J.K. Simmons, who were basically like kind of the heavy hitters in the movie. I'd say. I don't know if Christina Milioti is that big of a heavy hitter, but and then
I'd say she's getting there.
We had like Tyler Hoechlin. That's how you pronounce his name, right?
Yeah, and then also Camila Mendes for which one is she? Veronica from Riverdale.
Oh, okay. Directed by Max Barbakow. When I was looking through his IMDb, it didn't look like he had done much before this. A lot of shorts. And written by Andy Ciara, who has written not a lot before this either. A lot of shorts. Okay. And then it seemed like it was produced by Lonely Island. So like they're kind of like, I didn't even know that they were like a production, like a whole company type thing.
I think this is their first like film production.
Gotcha.
I think so. But then the big story that I wanted to pull up with this, because typically like, TJ will run down the cast list of the movie and then I'll take over on the box office. And this movie actually is playing at a
Drive.
handful of drive-ins throughout the country, including our own. If I do get back in the swing of things and go to the drive-in, maybe I'll go see this again. I don't know. It depends if I like the movie or not. Which again, every week we do not know anything. We have not discussed this movie at all, so I don't know if he hates it. He doesn't know if I love it. Vice versa, I have no idea. We went a little bit beyond not just sharing our star rating for it. We literally did not even talk about the movie at all, so I have no idea. But the one thing money-wise that I can talk about this, which was very, very cool, is did you know, even though the box office numbers are not in for its drive-in run, this film has already set a monetary world record. Do you know what that is?
No.
It is the single highest amount any studio has paid for a film coming out of Sundance.
Really?
Yep. By 69 cents. Yeah. The previous record was for Birth of a Nation, which was purchased by Fox Searchlight for $17.5 million in 2016. This year, Hulu acquired the rights to it for $17.5 million, 0000 period 69 cents. So it's 17.5 million and 69 cents. Nice, right? Yeah. That's basically, it's probably why. But yeah, so that's basically all I have for the money on it. But that, I mean, obviously that is awesome. I remember a little bit of like stirrings coming out of Sundance about this film that people were like, oh, this like Andy Samberg movie is like making all this buzz at Sundance. And I was like, what the hell? And then I didn't realize that movie was this movie until I started looking it up. And then I was like, oh crap. Oh, okay. That makes a lot of sense. So yeah, with that out of the way, like we said, it's going to be a little bit of a shorter review just because we don't have a lot of lifelong memories with this movie or anything or like stories and stuff. So we're just going to go ahead and jump right off with our non-spoiler thoughts on it. So this is going to be the non-spoiler section. Then we'll get into the spoiler section.
But we're doing our stars. The beginning or the end?
We'll do that at the end of the non-spoiler section.
Okay.
So we'll do that at the end of the non-spoiler. And this is going to be kind of the way once, whenever it's going to be that, movies are back up and running, or if we get a crap ton of these VOD releases, we're going to start reviewing a lot more current movies. And it'll be kind of this formula where we'll do our non-spoiler review thoughts first, give our star rating, and then we'll jump into the spoiler section for those who have seen it or don't care to be spoiled, either one. So TJ, why don't you go ahead and jump off? Give me your non-spoiler review thoughts, and then I will give mine.
So I'm starting off telling you what I thought of it, correct?
Yep. Yeah. All non-spoiler.
I thought it was very good. I thoroughly enjoyed it. I know because I remember watching like a non-spoiler review on it. And they said it played with the whole Groundhog Day aspect of it, which I'm pretty sure I've seen that movie, or if I haven't, I've seen half of it. So I might not have seen all the way through. Like I know like the premise. I know. Like,
have you seen Happy Death Day?
No, I never really. Nah. I
Happy
know those
Death Day is really good.
I know. When I saw the trailers, it looks stupid to me. But
it is stupid, but it's the right thing.
No, like I thought this was very good. I thought the acting was excellent. J.K. Simmons, fantastic in this movie. Oh my god!
I didn't know J.K. Simmons was in this movie.
Well, yeah. I heard that he was in it, and then at this one scene when you first see him, I was like, "Oh, that's J.K. Simmons." But other than like. After the movie, while I was watching it, I had like a few questions about the entire like
the inner workings.
Exactly. I had there were some things I was like, wait, so what happens if blah blah, or like what happens if that happens?
Yeah, I had some of that too.
And there was like a twist or two that I was like, oh, I didn't see that one coming. But overall, I thought it was I'm not a big rom-com person. Like the last rom-com I think I watched was what was that movie with Liam Hemsworth and what's her name? Rebel Wilson.
Isn't it romantic?
Something
Is
like
that
that.
what it's
I didn't
called?
like
Yeah.
it. That was not good.
Oh
This
my God.
this was surprising. I really enjoyed it. This is something also I would probably watch again. It's short and sweet. It's like an hour and a half. I did feel at one point. I did think at one point it was a little long. I can't really pinpoint what part I thought that was, but I did find myself like looking at my. It just felt longer than it actually was to me for some reason. But no, overall, like I liked the whole playing with the whole time thing and everything, and other than like a few questions at the end, I thought it was a very solid movie with some very good solid acting, and I thought it was a pretty good directorial debut. For somebody that's only done like shorts.
Yeah. Okay. Let me go ahead and get my notes. Up here just 1 second. All right. Okay. So, first bullet point here. Okay, so I hated this movie. I was surprised that you really liked it. Yeah, I really thought it was terrible. I just don't really care for like Andy Samberg, and I really thought that J.K. Simmons fell flat.
Really? I thought he was hilarious. You're joking.
Yeah, I'm joking. No, I thought this movie was fantastic.
Yeah.
I would put it up. I've said before that there really haven't been that many movies this year, so I've really only had like a top 3, which is like I would say Sonic, Birds of Prey, and like Gentlemen would be my top 3. I would bump Birds of Prey out of the top 3, and I would put this in the top 3. Now we haven't seen Greyhound yet. We might in fact be reviewing that soon on the podcast.
It depends.
At the very worst, if we have to, like if I got to get an Apple TV Plus free trial,
I think I'll still have like a free trial. I could be wrong though.
Yeah, because you got like an iPhone and stuff, right? So
I got like a MacBook, and it came with like a free like.
I think you get it for a year.
Yeah, so I probably have it.
Yeah, I think you get it. Yeah, sign up. Because I'm not getting Apple TV Plus, but I'll get a free trial to watch one movie. But I haven't seen that yet. That one also is supposed to be really, really good. But yeah, I would say this is easily top 3. Maybe even my number 1. I don't know. It's between this and I don't know, because I was gonna say which one, but like Gentlemen and Sonic for me,
you don't have a Invisible Man up there?
Oh, okay, yeah. Throw that in as like a top 5. So Birds of Prey, Invisible Man, and then the other 3 for like top 5 of the year.
Okay.
I completely forgot about that movie, even though we just spent 20 minutes talking about it. But I don't know. It's really fighting in that top 3 spot for me. I thought it was so good. I thought it was fantastic. I could totally see why there was such a bidding war at Sundance about it. It's a really, really unassuming movie. You would really, really think that you're getting yourself in for like a Will Ferrell, Adam Sandler style, straight to Netflix type movie. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
This movie, I would say, is one of the best rom-coms in like the past 5 years. I put it up there with Always Be My Maybe, Crazy Rich Asians. There was another like really good rom-com that I forgot, but as a whole, I really think that like studio comedies and rom-coms are kind of on the upswing right now. For a while, they were really, really bad.
Yeah.
And I just think that because it's one of those things where it's like when rom-coms and stuff were really bad, everybody turned to things like Breaking Bad. Now the world is really shitty, and now everybody's turning to like
something that brings
comedies and like exactly. Because it's like before it was like, oh, I can't watch Katherine Heigl do whatever the hell for another 2 hours. You know what I mean? Like over and over again. But I think this is really good. Like I would put this comedy wise on the level of like Game Night or Tag or something.
Oh,
you know
yeah, Game Night was really good.
Yeah, where it's like, and like you said, really, I'm not talking about my thoughts on the movie really, because I got to say, really almost identical to everything TJ said is mine. I think really, really good, great character work by all the actors, even
Yeah.
the supporting people like
Mhm.
Tyler Hoechlin.
Yeah.
Pretty small role, but an important role.
Yeah.
Also, what's his name? The dad, Peter Gallagher, really
Yeah.
good as the dad in this movie. As well as what's her face, Camila Mendes from Riverdale is really good as the sister in this. And like you said, really the only issues that I have with it are not issues with the movie. They're issues with like, and not even issues. It's like what you said, questions. Yeah, it's like questions, basically.
Yeah.
Like as I was watching it, I was like, well, if this, then wouldn't that?
That's exactly
and I'm like,
what I thought. Yes.
Yeah, we're probably even talking about the exact same thing.
Yeah.
But and then something with the end too.
Mhm.
There is also non-spoiler. This isn't really a spoiler, but stick around. There is like a little post-credit tag, like mid-credit tag that left me with some questions. The only other thing that I will add that is a positive that you didn't mention is you're absolutely right. The writing and directing in this movie is fantastic. But also I want to shout out the cinematography in this movie is fantastic. There's like a weird, almost film grain type look to some of the shots. Do you know what I'm talking about?
It depends what shots you have to
like. Particularly, I would say there's a scene. Again, this isn't a spoiler. There's a scene. I think it was even in the trailer or a poster or something where they're sitting on the side of a road, and like it almost looks like it's filmed like a gritty Western. You know what I mean? Like, and I just think the shot style in the movie was really, really, really good. This is absolutely a movie like what I talked about a couple of minutes ago. I probably will go see this at the drive-in just to pay money, to give money to the studio that made this because I really, really think it's fantastic. I think it's one of the best Hulu original movies that we've had in a while.
I don't know like any Hulu original movies on this one.
Yeah, like really, I feel like Hulu just really doesn't have that many originals.
Yeah.
Like besides like some of their Marvel shows, you know what I mean? That's really it. I'm sure there's going to be a lot more Hulu originals going forward since now Disney runs Hulu.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I think this movie is fantastic.
What'd you give it?
What? Oh, okay. I was just gonna say, what would you? All right, I'll go first then. I would go. You go first. Hang on.
I gave it 4.
Oh, really? Okay.
That doesn't mean it's like that. Doesn't mean I think it's like, you know, terrible or anything. Like I did really enjoy it. It's just the things like obviously it's not going to explain it because it's like it's just you're not supposed to focus on that. But there was so many moments where I was like, well. Wait a second. You know.
I'm gonna go with a. I know we can't put it in Letterboxd.
Yeah.
But I'm gonna go with a 4.25.
Okay.
I'm gonna go with a 4.25. I think it's a little bit better than a 4. I don't think it's quite a 4.5.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, fantastic movie. We're in the non-spoiler section, so really what you want from here is our recommendation. Our recommendation, if you have a Hulu subscription, watch this. I mean, it's an hour and a half.
Yeah, it's very short.
It's very, very short. Like you said too, I did have like one moment where I was like, where I, hit the remote and I just was like, all right, how much time is left? But that was it. That was it. Like, it's really, like he said, like there's like one part where it just like drags for a moment and then it takes off again, but you're just like, it's like just enough time to yawn once, you know what I mean? Like, but I mean, every movie has pacing issues, but this is like, it's a pretty tight movie. Other than that, I would definitely recommend it. How about you?
I think if you have Hulu, even if you have like a free trial of Hulu, I would just watching it because it's one of the better rom-coms that have come out in the past few years. And like we said, everybody's really good. And I think it's a good movie to, get your, what do you want to call it? Like if you're feeling like maybe a little bit down, might
get your heart pumping a little.
Yeah. Might make you a little bit happier.
Get your spirits up. Get your spirits up there. Yeah. So with that, let's go ahead and hop into the spoiler section here. So we're really just going to go ahead and, do a quick spoiler section here for the movie, because, a lot of what we thought about the review is in the non-spoiler section. But so we're just going to go ahead and break down some of our moments here. Could be good or bad. Let's go ahead and start off with what we kind of discussed already. What were you questioning? What were some of the questions that you had?
There's some times where she so basically like what happens is like,
oh yeah, we should probably explain.
Is it the same thing as Ground? I mean, he never dies in Groundhog Day, right?
Yeah, he dies. He kills himself.
He does? Okay. Well, he kills himself. They kill themselves and like
I'll say this. In Happy Death Day, in Groundhog Day, and in Palm Springs, it's the exact same
thing. Okay.
Yeah, in all three. It's you whether you die, whether you fall asleep, I mean, anything, the difference, wake up at the exact same
difference
moment.
In like those movies though, it's one person, not two, correct?
In Happy Death Day 2, it becomes more than one person.
Okay.
But just by that question, we had the exact same
thing. Where I was like, there's the one part when, they're stopped by the cop and everything, and they're sitting on the side of the road, and Sarah is like played by Kristen Milotti is like, I'm getting out of here. And she jumps into a semi that's like passing by. And so in my head, I'm like, so does that reset Andy Samberg as well?
Yeah.
Or is that like, because that's what kept getting me, is because she was trying to do this whole thing where she kept dying. And I was like, so how did they line up again?
Mm-hmm. So that is exactly what my question was. I mean, that's a thing that's like, and they do kind of address it in the movie because there's like a funny line where she's like, but what if like this is just happening for us and like we have to like break it individually or something? Yeah. And Andy Samberg's kind of like, because also one thing that I will say, I'll circle back to this real quick, but the one thing that I loved about this movie is that, so basically it's this wedding. Andy Samberg is in this time loop.
Mm-hmm.
He, we'll talk about later but I'll give the context now because I'm already talking about it. He gets drunk with J.K. Simmons, who is also at the wedding, and basically accidentally or drunk and high, I should say, pulls J.K. Simmons in with him, like willingly, like he says, oh, we got to do this because like they're all high, and J.K. Simmons is like, oh, I could live in this
J.K. Simmons
forever.
on cocaine is one of the funniest things I've ever seen.
Fantastic. When their heads are together, some of the funniest stuff I've ever seen J.K. Simmons do. But so he pulls him in, and then J.K. Simmons gets pissed at him, and like he's like hunting him down in there like every once in a while because J.K. Simmons is in the loop too. And then one of the nights that J.K. Simmons is hunting him, Sarah, Kristen's character, follows him in there to make sure he's like all right into this cave. This cave is the place that they enter the time loop. And so we have in this movie 3 people that are in the time loop: J.K. Simmons, Sarah, and J.K. Simmons' character is Roy. So we have Roy, Sarah, and Niles, played by Andy Samberg. Just as context, it should be pretty much all we need going forward. But you're exactly right. That's exactly what my questions were too, was he kind of jokes like, oh yeah, I've definitely never thought about the multiverse. Like you can tell, like, because he's like always done it, because that's what I wanted to say was one of my favorite aspects of this movie is when the movie starts, Andy Samberg's character Niles is already in it. He's been doing this already thousands and thousands of times. Like, and that typically in these movies,
that was my other question.
Yeah.
Is how he got there. Because I don't think they ever talked about it.
No, they never talked about that. But that I was okay with. That I was fine with not having it, because it's one of those movies where it doesn't treat, and I know that this is like saying not a lot, but it really is kind of saying a lot, because a lot of movies do this, especially like studio movies. It doesn't treat you like a moron. You know what I mean? This movie is very much like, he's just already in it. That's all you need to know. Yeah, like that's just all you need to know, is that he's already in this time loop. And it's not just like he's been in it for a week. Like at the start of the movie, they allude to the fact that like he's been doing this tens, if not hundreds of thousands of times. Like he has been doing this a lot. And then she starts getting in on it and stuff like that. And so the whole thing that TJ brought up that we were just talking about, that was the context aside. is what happens when one of them resets but the other ones don't. Because there's one scene in particular. It's so, I don't know, because it's like, I don't know. Because I'm trying to talk about the movie for a second, because I'm trying to think in my head what it would be.
Like you said, well, I guess I'll talk about like the twist. So it's not a twist. It's kind of like, oh, I didn't see that one.
It's like a reveal.
Yeah. So
that was when I sent you the GIF, by the way, the mind blown GIF.
Oh yeah. Every time like they go to sleep or whatever, it starts with like the loop starts with them like opening their eyes, like, hearing the same exact line, whatever it was from, the time they woke up. And in this, I think it's probably like 3/4 of the way through the movie, maybe like halfway. You see, because they're at a wedding and it's Kristen Milioti's Sarah. It's her sister's wedding and she's getting married to Tyler Hoechlin. Tyler Hoechlin.
It's like whatever.
And you see that, Sarah opens her eyes and it's Tyler Hoechlin walking into the bathroom, saying
walking out of the bathroom.
Oh, the bathroom.
Yeah.
And Sarah slept with her sister's fiance the night before the wedding.
Yeah.
So which kind of relates to Sarah's whole character. She's very, I don't want to say mopey, but she's very
she's like very down on herself. She's very like she says like she was married before, it didn't work out. Like she's had drug problems. Like her family is kind of like
trying to take care of her, but also suffocating her. Like
that kind of a thing. Yeah.
And that's another thing I liked about this movie was that like they both have different opinions, where Andy Samberg's character is kind of like, I've been doing this so much that like I'm just gonna like it doesn't like I'm just trying to find the best, just trying to live my best life at this point.
Exactly.
And,
like that
Sarah's kind of like, I'm getting out of here. Like, it's not what's the point of living this life if nothing matters,
And that's what I think separates this movie from. Sorry, I'm not like looking up. I'm just like zoning out thinking about the movie. That's kind of what separates this movie from Happy Death Day, from Groundhog Day. But I would say that's what separates it from Happy Death Day the most. Because I think in Groundhog Day, Bill Murray finds a little bit of joy and comfort in being able to get the pattern down and help out the people that he knows need help and stuff. But Happy Death Day is much more, because obviously in Happy Death Day, you have a horror element where she's being killed every day, not just stuck in it. But this is really the only one where it shed a light on that kind of, what is even the word for it? That kind of outlook, where she is very much the stereotypical time loop movie character, where she's like, I got to get out of here. Like, we can't, like, they're not going to get me. Like, I'm going to be the one to crack what it is. And he's just kind of so beaten down by it that at first you think maybe he's like, whatever, man. You know what I mean? But then you realize it's less of like, whatever, man, nothing matters, and more of like, nothing matters. So I'm just going to try and make mine and everyone's life around me like as good as I can possibly make it. Like you start out and yes, like he does like drugs and like he has sex with like a whole bunch of people and stuff like throughout the movie. But like not throughout the movie, but they do a flashback to all his different loops and stuff. He's like done a whole bunch of crazy stuff. But like the first loop that we meet him, like he gives this just like crazy wedding speech that's like, he just gives it just like to make the people that day that he was experiencing like feel good. You know what I mean? Like and that's kind of explored later in the movie, where at the end of it, she finds a way out because she disappears for a while after Andy Samberg. She doesn't know this, but it happens like on the same day. Finds out that she had slept with Tyler Hoechlin, with her sister's fiance.
Yeah.
And so she leaves after that for like a long time, like presumably a long time.
The thing was that she had asked him earlier in the movie, have we ever had sex in your
because that was the same day.
Yeah. And then he's like, okay, we did like I don't even know how many times, 1,000 times or something, and she was very hurt by that. So then she like left, as you're saying. But
yeah, because she also because it was the day after they had finally basically like they were trying not to form a relationship, and then they finally gave in and had one.
Yeah.
And then of course that's the next morning is when we realized that she was sleeping with Tyler Hoechlin. And then that's kind of the day that things start to go off the rails. They get into that big fight. She leaves. She's gone for a while, but you find out later she's been studying like quantum physics and stuff to try and get out of the loop.
And then one of the funny scenes is she's in like a diner and she goes there, like as she falls asleep, she repeats. So she goes back to the diner. And when she's talking to that one professor and she lists off this entire thing, and he's like, well, I guess you don't need my help then.
Yeah, exactly. And then you're like, because it's like a funny character moment, but it's also like, oh, okay. Like, so that shows the end of the montage, or it's like, all right, well, she doesn't need this guy's help.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I just think it's really, really good. And then, if we just want to go, did you have any other, moments that you want to talk about before we go to?
Just like another thing that I thought was kind of nice was, again, later, like you said, J.K. Simmons' character Roy he's so mad at Andy Samberg's character
that's
because
a great scene.
He let him in here, and he's been hunting him. He hunts him down every few days, and Andy Samberg says he only comes every few days because J.K. Simmons' character lives so far away. But there's a really great scene when Andy Samberg, Niles is very down on his luck, and he's missing Sarah. She's been gone. He doesn't know where she is, and he goes to J.K. Simmons' character's house, and his character has like a family. He's got a daughter, a son, a wife, and they're kind of they're hanging out, and his Roy is like, I hate you. It's like, I'm never going to see my daughter. I'm not going to be able to watch her, walk down the aisle. I'm never going to see my kids graduate. But he's like, I'm also like, I know I put you through some terrible things, because when J.K. Simmons hunts down Andy Samberg's character, he kills him every single time. Like, he lights him on fire. He shoots him with bow and arrows. But he's like, I realized like I was putting you through some like, tough stuff. And I've kind of come to terms with, I'm in the prime, like not the prime of my life, but my wife's in the prime of her life. My daughter's gonna, I think she's gonna draw something. She's gonna draw a family portrait tonight.
Yeah, he's like, she's gonna draw a family portrait tonight. I'm a cute, cuddly
teddy bear or something like that.
Teddy bear, yeah. And he's just like,
and his son, and it pans over to his son. He goes, my son's watering shit over there. He says a watering can, like water, like dog shit. It was the funniest scene. But it's also, again, like, it's kind of looking at both sides where it's like, I got to get out of here, which is so Sarah. And then Niles is like, it doesn't even matter. And that's what's good, is like, I don't want to go back to the real world where I have responsibilities and consequences to everything. And, J.K. Simmons, I feel like, is like the perfect medium between that, where he's, he does wish he could go back, but he's also
kind
like
of accepted it.
He accepted the fact that he's here.
Yeah, because he's like, he says at one point, he's like, I'm never going to get to teach. I think he says, like, I'm never going to get to teach my son how to drive. I'm never going to get to walk my daughter down the aisle. Yeah. Like, he's like going through this stuff. He's like, I'm never going to be able to grow old with my wife. I'm never going to be able to watch my kids grow old. But he says, but this day is a great day. He's like, if I had to be stuck in one day, this day is fantastic. Yeah. And then because like TJ said, he lives far away. Roy lives in Irvine, California. And he was like, so they basically said, like, Niles, you got to find your Irvine. And he's like, I don't think I have mine. And he was like, everybody has one. You just have to look for it. And it's like, it's just a really, really like heartwarming, like great scene with those two actors. Like, it's just really, I think what I'm really, really surprised by is like, I think Andy Samberg in this is just really, really good. And I was really not expecting him to be.
I'd agree.
I think he shows some really good dramatic moments. And I think him playing off of like J.K. Simmons was really, really good. Yeah. And then the last thing that I'll just say too, that is like the end credit tag is, I don't really understand, because the end credit tag is they break out of the loop. Sarah and Niles break out of the loop. And you know, I think naturally I was kind of guessing, I'm sure you were, I'm sure the movie intends you to be like, what about Roy? And then so the post-credit scene is Roy and all throughout the movie, Roy calls Niles shitbird.
Shitbird. That's what.
Shitbird. Yeah, and so So the post-credit scene is they're back at the wedding, and he walks up to Niles and he says, "Hey, shitbird, is it like I got your voicemail or something, or I got your email? Like, do you think it'll really work?" Like, so clearly before they escape the loop, Niles like sent him a message saying, "Hey, this is how you do it."
It was Sarah. It was Sarah.
Oh, Sarah, that's right. And then, but then like Niles like acts like he doesn't remember him.
Yeah, because they're already out of the loop. So that's just Niles in J.K. Simmons' character's loop. I think. You
just solved the whole issue before.
No, because
that must mean when you leave a loop, you lose the memories of that person. So you are still in their loop. But you know what I'm saying? So for the loop that J.K. Simmons, like, for that scene that we were talking about, where they're in the road, they get pulled over by J.K. Simmons, and then Sarah hits him with a car. And then when Niles goes and they have that meeting where he's talking about his family and stuff, he says the thing that opened his eyes was when she hit him with the car. J.K. Simmons spent the whole rest of that loop in the ICU, like in a hospital bed, because the one thing is the pain is real. If you get pain or if you get hurt or anything, the pain is real for you and it's real for other people too. Like, it's all real feelings and emotions and physical feelings and stuff. So when she died, like, her body didn't disappear. For Niles, it must have just really been on the front of that truck. You know what I mean? Because if Niles is still in his loop, but he doesn't remember him, that must mean that the real Niles made it out. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So they just become like dummies, basically, or they go back to before anything.
Yeah, but like my point is like, how does that work? Like when she dies, she gets hit by the truck.
Yep.
So what does he do?
He is still in the previous loop.
But then how do they line back up? Like, does she have to wait till he goes to sleep or dies and then they start at the same time? Do you see what I'm saying?
No, it must be that every time, well, because we're thinking about it in regular time, but that's not what it is.
It's not.
It must be that. All right, so let's just take that day for example, right?
Yeah.
Or actually, better yet, let's take the day where they fall asleep in the tent. The day that they finally hook up in the movie, they fall asleep in a tent. They fall asleep at the same time, and then they wake up at the same time.
Yeah.
If Niles had fallen asleep 10 minutes after her, they still would have woken up at the same time the next day.
Just because that's how it works.
Just because that's how it works. So, like, a better example, the day that she, like, earlier in the movie, one of the things she tries is she drives all the way home and, like, sits on her couch at her house.
Yeah.
And then still falls asleep. He probably went to bed before her, but they still wake up at the exact same time until they break out of the loop. You see what I mean? So when it's the previous day, they still experience the previous day, but every morning, all three of them wake up at the same time that they always do. You see what I mean?
Yeah. So it's just kind of like, they don't really like lay it out for you. Like, okay, well, he kind of does lay it out for you in the beginning.
It's a very hard, it's like a very hard thing to lay out. You know what I mean? Like, but yeah. And that makes sense too, why he's like, Roy only comes every couple of days because it takes him so long to get here. Because it's like Roy still wakes up at the same time every day. It's just,
but then he has to drive and
it's just sometimes he decides to drive out there. So I think, all right, so good. We answered our own question. But yeah, okay. So that actually, and you just answered my question about my problem with the post-credit scene. So that's perfectly good.
No,
because I didn't understand that. I was like, what? But then
that's his realization
that makes perfect sense.
That he's like, oh, he's gone. So that means like he doesn't know who I am because this is just, in my loop.
Because this is the version of Niles before we ever met.
Yes.
Yeah. And also I should have clued in on that because Niles is wearing a suit.
Also,
so clearly that was his original outfit to the wedding, and then he just
he
wears various
It's
outfits.
a long one. If you look at the time, it's 2 hours 14 minutes.
Well, all right. So that was all we had for the movie. Let me pull up my notes. Am I forgetting anything here? Oh yeah. So that was pretty much like our final thoughts. Just really, really good. We're out of the spoiler section. Really, really good stuff in that movie. Yeah, I mean, like we said in the non-spoiler, really recommend it. Everything. Super, super good movie. If you have Hulu, check it out. If you don't have Hulu, get the free trial. Check it out. It's really, really good. Super short too. So that'll do it for our Tell Me What to Watch, I Don't Know What to Watch segment of the show. So now, like we do every week, we close out the show with our Shooting the Shit segment. And this week we got a pretty fun one, and more importantly, a pretty quick one for the length that we went over on the news today, which is seemingly Giancarlo Esposito, Gustavo Fring himself from Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul, as well as other things like Once Upon a Time, Mandalorian. He was even in what's it called? He was in Do the Right Thing, like famous actor, everything. Seemingly this year is the year of Giancarlo because he is
the Keanu Sans, and now we have the Esposito Sans.
Exactly, because he is taken over the world. And he said straight up in an interview this week, I've got my eyes set on the MCU next. He said, that seems like a good next step for me. And I was like, and then there was another interview that was like how Giancarlo Esposito learned his own worth. So clearly he's been doing some self-examining, and it's been coming out well because he is a fantastic actor. He's also the lead in the new Far Cry game, Far Cry 6. So he's been getting a lot of work, and he seemingly has his eyes set on the MCU. About a year ago, there was a report that the MCU had their eye on him. So that's what our Shooting the Shit is today, is just who do you want to see Giancarlo Esposito play in the MCU? I posed that question to you.
We saw this on I saw you liked it. I think I retweeted it. Green Goblin, I think, was a good one that I saw. Like posted the pic. Somebody posted the picture on Twitter. Said, "Wait a second," and there was like him and then like the Green Goblin. Yeah, I think he's got to play. He's got to play a villain. Like that's just like that's what he is. Like that's all he plays usually as a villain.
So for me, I have 3 options, but a clear number 1. So I'll go through my options, then I want a final answer from you before we close out to the final order. So my 3 things that I think he would be a good fit for. Well, one of them is kind of an either or. My third choice, I'll say right now, is I think if you go a little bit older, I think he'd make a really good Victor Von Doom. I think he'd be a really good Dr. Doom to make him an overarching villain, just like of a phase. You know what I mean? Then my number 2 is the either or, which is I think he would be a stellar Professor X or Magneto. I think either one of those characters he would be fantastic as. And then I'll say before I go to my number 1, what I don't want to see is I don't want to see him be a villain in one movie and then he's done. You know what I mean? Like I don't want this to be like, Kate Blanchett is Hela, but it's like, okay, you get her for half a movie and then she's out of the whole MCU. You know what I mean? Like, I would want him to take on a Sam Jackson sized role, maybe even bigger, as Norman Osborn. I think Giancarlo Esposito as Norman Osborn would be perfect because, like you said, like he's a villain. That's what he's good at. But he also has so much charm and swagger and like niceties and just that he's got something like when he plays Gus that like he's evil, but like there's something behind his eyes. You know what I mean? Like when Gus is pretending to be good, like
Yeah.
there's something behind his eyes that he's just there's something not right in that guy. You know what I mean? Like, and so
Well,
I
it's
would love
some
to see
a lot of those shots in Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul is just like he's staring, and it's
Yeah,
like, you know, he's not like he doesn't even. I guess he like built wise, he's not like the most like physically imposing person, but he looks menacing.
Oh, exactly. Yeah, and that's why I think he'd be a perfect Norman Osborn.
Yeah.
I think that is the perfect role for him in the MCU. And I don't want to see a Norman Osborn who's in one Spider-Man movie and then he turns into Green Goblin and he gets killed. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I want to see an entire trilogy, because I always liked the idea of, because they've been talking crazy stuff like Tom Holland's Spider-Man is going to get 9 solo movies, like, because there's been talk of like 3 trilogies. Well, think about it. I mean, we're already on our 3rd one. You're on his 7th appearance already. He's only 25, 24. How old is Tom Holland? 25, young. I think. Yeah. And we're on his 7th or 8th appearance coming up next year. So if that's true, I don't know about 9 movies, but if he gets another trilogy, and there's talk of that being like the college trilogy, right? Where like now he's moving into college and stuff like that. I think it makes perfect sense. He goes to college. That's where he meets Harry Osborn. Have Giancarlo Esposito play Norman Osborn for that entire trilogy, just as Norman Osborn. You know what I mean? Like, just have him be like a mentor figure, a public figure, stuff like that. Peter, have him pop up in other MCU movies. Have him, maybe you get him as Norman in Spider-Man, but maybe you find out that he has some villainous tactics in Ant-Man 3. You know what I mean? Like, that would be awesome if you kind of start to get hints in other projects that he's of like kind of villainous or evil or something, but to Peter, he always appears like he's a good guy. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then you have all that buildup, and then like a final movie where you have like a crushing blow that he's this bad guy, and then don't kill him, please. Don't kill him. Like, just put him in a prison or something and have him break out.
To have like almost like you said, Sam Jackson, but almost like a Michael Keaton type, where he's like an overarching villain where it goes, you know, he could be considered Mr. Sticks, could he not?
Well, I want Giancarlo Esposito to be the one assembling the Sinister Six. Like, I want him show up, have Giancarlo Esposito show up in Venom or in Morbius 2. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Or like show up in Venom 2 and be like, we're putting together a team. Same way Nick Fury did. You know what I mean? But have him be a villain. Like, do comic book stuff with him as Norman Osborn. Like, I want, like, just because they have not touched that character yet. And like, I think Willem Dafoe was fantastic as Norman Osborn. The characterization in the first movie was really, really good. But, you know, they kind of didn't do a lot with him in the franchise as a whole, because he died at the end of the first movie. And then you see like Chris Cooper was like good as Norman Osborn, but like he like died, and then he was a frozen in the Amazing Spider-Man movies.
Oh,
like,
I don't know if I've seen the first one. I've seen the second, but
then he was like dead, but then he was like a frozen head in a jar. Like, it was like a weird, weird. There was like it was really weird.
Yeah. Don't
do any of that crap. Pick great Norman Osborn stories from the comics to give this guy, because he deserves a big, huge, beefy role in the MCU. Yeah. And I think that would be Norman Osborn. Is that you too?
I would agree with that. Yeah. I like the Dr. Doom idea too. I think that's good.
Yeah, I think he
doesn't die again.
Exactly.
You know, he just can't die.
Also I think you could do this is the difference in my head. I think he would be a really good Dr. Doom to build up over a phase. You know what I mean? Like, I think Dr. Doom would be a really good villain throughout multiple movies for one phase, kind of like a Hydra. You know what I mean? Like, Hydra was kind of like phase 0.5 to 1.5, and then like it was really done in the movies in Age of Ultron. Like, so you could really say it was like all of phase 2 was like Hydra. But then you had phases 1, 2, and 3, where Thanos was the main villain. That's what I want from like Norman Osborn. Like, I think Doctor Doom would be a really good single phase villain.
Yeah,
but I
like
think
Norman Osborn, is that somebody you can stretch like along that far?
Oh yeah, because there's so much you could do. You could have him in an entire phase where he's just a good guy. You know
That's
what I
true,
mean? Like,
yeah.
that's the thing. Like, you could do so much with him, and obviously, you could do that with Doctor Doom as well.
Doom, yeah.
But I just think Norman Osborn would be like to set him up as the next big bad. You could even have them working together. You know what I mean? Maybe even him and Doctor Doom work together. I think that would be my thing. His first introduction, have him build the Sinister Six, then have the Sinister Six fail.
Yeah.
Have Norman kind of go away for like a while,
A little bit,
and
yeah.
then come back and be like, all right, we're not messing around this time. Like, I'm gonna be the
I'm the
threat.
guy.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so all right. So our pick for Giancarlo Esposito in the MCU is Norman Osborn with, I think I would say Doctor Doom as a close second. So once again, not very surprising, but our final order is, what do you think? Who do you want to see Giancarlo Esposito play in the MCU? Do you want him to play somebody, that we said, somebody else? Do you want to see him play somebody that you might not think he would play? Do you want to see him play a good guy? Let us know. So you can always tweet at the show using the hashtag or the @PlanetFilmPod on Twitter, or email us at planetfilmpod@gmail.com. That'll pretty much do it for the show today. Again, I am Sean Monk.
And I'm TJ Cornwell.
Always remember to live your life 1/4 mile at a time. Peace.